When Bai pushed the divorce agreement across. His fingers tapped on the walnut tabletop. The sound soft, like the muffled thud when the final load-bearing component was removed from the award-winning architectural models Wed designed together. Gu Wan. Let's get divorced. Lin Wei. She needs me. Outside the window was the city skyline view our firm was so proud of. The setting sun dyeing the glass curtain walls a molten gold. I picked up the cold coffee by my hand. Not drinking it. Just feeling the coolness of the cup seep into my fingertips. 10 years. From the ambitious young man and stubborn girl hunched over drafting tables in the university's architecture department, to the recognized soul and skeleton behind the golden brand of Yuan design. 4 years of dating. 6 years of marriage. He managed the realization of projects, while I was responsible for letting dreams breathe on paper and in concrete. How many landmarks were born from our hands? How much praise did we receive? In the end, he told me he needed to cherish an assistant designer who had been with the company for less than 2 years. Okay. My voice was steadier than I imagined, like the straightest line drawn with it square. The next day, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The process was quick, as usual. The staff asked a few questions. Bai pursed his lips, and I answered for him. Incompatible ideals. Broken relationship. Such a formal explanation. After receiving the divorce cooling-off period receipt, Bai seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Yet a hint of inexplicable irritation lingered. They'll give you a ride. He pulled open the car door, habitually gesturing towards the passenger seat. I didn't stop walking, and directly opened the back door and got in the rearview mirror. His brow furrowed for a fleeting moment. The car merged into the evening rush hour traffic. He seemed to be in a decent mood, his fingertips tapping lightly on the steering wheel. The car's Bluetooth, connected to his phone, suddenly rang with a currently popular, saccharine little tune. He answered without even looking. Lin Wei's soft voice chimed in. Brother Bai. I'm still working on the cross-section of the resort. I'm so dizzy. And my stomach hurts. I haven't eaten much all day. Bai's tone instantly softened to a dripping tenderness. Sweetie, don't push yourself. I'll be right there. What do you want to eat? Seafood congee, crab roe buns. Listening to their tender exchange across the airwaves made my stomach churn. Not from sadness, but from a physical discomfort. As the car passed an intersection, I tapped his seat back. Pull over ahead. I've arrived. He didn't ask further and pulled over to the side. I pushed the door open and got out, walking into the familiar private clinic on the street corner without looking back. The female doctor I had an appointment with was already waiting for me. Miss Gu, the results are out. She handed me the lab report, her voice gentle. Congratulations. You're pregnant. About 6 weeks along. The clinic was warm, yet a chill snaked up my spine. In the first few years of our marriage, we desperately wanted a child. We went to every hospital, and they all said there were no issues on either side. But nothing happened. Later, the firm got busier and busier, and we put the matter aside. Now that the blueprint is shattered, this unexpected little puzzle piece has arrived. I looked at the blurry little dot on the ultrasound printout, my fingertips ice cold. The doctor was still going over the precautions, but I interrupted her. Please schedule the surgery for me, as soon as possible. The doctor paused for a moment, didn't try to persuade me further, and nodded. All right. Do you need to notify Mr. Shen? No need. I pulled at the corner of my mouth. This is my business. The surgery was scheduled for a week later. During this time, Bai and Lin Wei became the center of industry gossip. First, they made a high-profile appearance at a real estate developer's cocktail party. Lin Wei, wearing a new season's design from a haute couture brand I often ordered, linked her arm with his, her smile shy yet undeniably triumphant. The photo spread through several small group chats. Then, someone else spotted them celebrating an anniversary at our favorite Japanese restaurant. The one that required reservations 3 months in advance. My best friend, Soo-hee, was so angry she cursed me out over the phone. You won. You won. Without your designs. What is he, Chin-yu-bai, worth? What kind of garbage did that Lin Wei draw? The proposal for that small museum last time was deemed worthless by the client, and I heard Chin-yu-bai himself had to clean up the mess. You won. Are you just going to stand by and watch? I looked at my name still listed on the website of Yuan Design Studio as co-founder and design director. Beneath it, the fruits of our shared labor. The city library that won international awards. The Mountain Art Museum featured in countless magazines. They stood like a series of magnificent tombstones. Watching, I gently moved the mouse, clicking open my personal cloud drive. Inside lay, undisturbed, all the core design drafts, concept art, and source files of inspiration from these past years. This was Yuan's soul, and also the foundation upon which I built my life. Soo-hee, do me a favor. Spread the word that I, Gu-won, am preparing to go independent. The news was like a stone dropped into a still lake. That evening, my phone rang. It wasn't Chin-yu-bai, but Mr. Chin from Xinjiang Real Estate, our biggest and most demanding investor. His voice came through the receiver. Engineer Gu, I heard there's been some change on your end with President Shin. He didn't mention divorce. But the implication was clear. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the city lights outside. Mr. Chin is well informed. I do have some personal matters to attend to, but rest assured, the plan for the new Municipal Art Museum is my brainchild. No matter what, I will see it through to the end. It's just that the executing entity might undergo some adjustments later on. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line before Mr. Chin chuckled, a knowing amusement in his laughter. I understand. Xinjiang absolutely trusts engineer Gus' professionalism and vision. Let's have tea sometime soon and discuss it further. This was the way the wind was blowing. After hanging up, I opened my email. An unread message was from the director of the Jianglin Municipal Art Museum, who was also the art consultant for our new museum project. The email subject was simple, a conversation about the soul of the new pavilion. Opening it, the content was even simpler. Just one line and an address. Gu-won. Free to chat. Tomorrow afternoon at 3, Chinwai Tea House. Jianglin. Jianglin. A figure emerged in my mind. Slender, always wearing exceptionally fine linen shirts. With eyes so calm they seemed to hold the quiet space left after all clamor. We've had several in-depth discussions about the new museum project. His understanding of space, light, shadow, and humanity often left me feeling like I'd met my match. A keen observer. The next afternoon, at the Chinwai Tea House, Jianglin was already there, seated by the window, a cup of clear tea before him, wisps of steam rising. Sunlight filtered through the bamboo blinds, casting dappled shadows across his profile. Engineer Gu, he said, rising and pulling out a chair for me. His movements were natural and fluid, devoid of any forced attentiveness. Director Jiang, thank you for waiting. I just arrived. He gestured for me to sit, his gaze lingering on my face for a moment. There was no probing in his eyes, only a gentle insight. The city living room concept for the new museum has sparked some new ideas recently, and I wanted to bounce them off you. Of course, only if it's convenient for you to discuss work today. I picked up the teacup, the slightly astringent aroma of tea flowing down my throat, bringing a touch of clarity. It's all right. Work can sometimes be an anchor. We talked about the new museum, about the massive glass curtain wall that blurred the lines between indoor and outdoor, and about how to infuse a cool building with an atmosphere that makes people pause and breathe. He spoke at an unhurried pace, his views unique but never aggressive, much like the impression he gave as we were deep in conversation. The wind chimes at the tea house entrance tinkled crisply. I instinctively looked up. meeting the gaze of two pairs of eyes, Chin Yu-bai and Lin Wei, who was linking his arm and wearing an obviously newly purchased designer suit. When Lin Wei saw me, her eyes flickered, and she shrank closer to Chin Yu-bai. Chin Yu-bai's expression instantly darkened. His gaze swept over Jiang Lin, who was opposite me, and finally settled on my face. He pulled Lin Wei along and strode over, his shadow falling over our small table. Gu Wan. What a coincidence. And who is this? Aren't you going to introduce us? The tone was as if he had caught his wife in the act of infidelity. Jiang Lin put down his teacup, his expression unchanged, even with a hint of polite distance. He looked at Chin Yu-bai, then at me, as if silently asking, "Do you need me to handle this?" I met Chin Yu-bai's questioning gaze, and the last ripple of unease in my heart completely subsided. I picked up the teacup, gently blew away the foam, my voice clear and calm. "Chin Yu-bai, this is a public place. Also, please remind your assistant Lin that it's fine to imitate my style, but next time she chooses a size, she should remember to pick one that fits better. The shoulders, for instance, are too tight." Lin Wei's face instantly turned pale. She instinctively tugged at the fabric on her shoulders, the movement somewhat comical. Chin Yu-bai's expression grew even uglier. He stared at me, his eyes filled with anger, and perhaps a hint of embarrassment at being exposed in public. Exposed as the man whose meticulously dressed companion was merely a clumsy imitator. "Gu Wan." His voice lowered, carrying a warning. Jiang Lin rose at the opportune moment, his posture composed, acting as an invisible barrier between me and those two. He didn't look at Chin Yu-bai, his gaze settling on me, tinged with inquiry. "Engineer Gu, would you like to move to a quieter place to continue our discussion?" I also stood up, picking up the cashmere coat draped over the back of my chair. "No need. We've discussed most of what needed to be said. Director Jiang. They'll send you the detailed plan for optimizing the flow of the new Museum City living room as soon as possible." My gaze swept over Chin Yu-bai's ashen face, landing on Lin Wei's huddled figure. My voice was calm and unruffled. "Please, enjoy. The billionaire here is quite good." With that, I walked straight past them and pushed open the wooden door of the Chinwai tea house. The late autumn wind, swirling with fallen leaves, rushed in. No footsteps followed me. Only the faint sound of Chin Yu-bai's suppressed scolding and Lin Wei's tearful defense from within the room. The hard knot that had been lodged in my chest seemed to dissipate slightly in the cold wind. The surgery was scheduled for 3 days later. Suhi took leave and insisted on coming to accompany me. The private hospital's single room was quiet. A nurse came in to prepare me for the surgery, asking gently, "Where is the family? We need a signature for confirmation," the nurse said, holding a folder. "I'll sign it myself." I reached out. Suhi pressed my hand down, her eyes a little red. Wan. "It's okay." I patted the back of her hand, took the pen, and signed my name in the relationship column. The tip of the pen scratched across the paper, a soft rustling sound, bringing an end to a relationship that had yet to fully form. In the temporary ward, a dull ache in her lower abdomen served as a reminder of the small life that had once resided there. Suhi sat by the bedside, her voice hushed. "How are you feeling? Does it hurt?" I shook my head, my gaze fixed on the ceiling. Something deep within my body was completely stripped away, along with the meticulously constructed blueprints of the past decade, which I had believed to be unshakable, were emptied out. There was no heart-wrenching pain as I had expected, only exhaustion. "Does he know?" Suhi asked cautiously. "There's no need." I closed my eyes. Chin Yu-bai was likely in a frantic state, dealing with the mess Lin Wei had created, or perhaps contemplating how to use his renowned management skills to fill the hollow shell he had personally stripped of its soul. A week later, I moved out of that penthouse apartment. It was the first one we bought after our firm's major project succeeded. The view was exceptional, and I had poured countless hours of effort into its renovation. Every corner, every light source, had once been a manifestation of my inspiration. Looking at it now, it felt like an exquisite specimen, preserving a period of dead time. I called a moving company, taking only my personal belongings, several thick volumes of original design manuscripts locked in the study's safe, and a portable hard drive filled with core design electronic files from over the years. These were my lifeblood, the true beating heart beneath the brand name Yuan. As for the items in the apartment that belonged to Shin Yubai, I had the workers neatly pack them and stack them in a corner of the living room. Taking one last look around, my gaze swept over the furniture and artworks we had chosen together. Without a trace of lingering attachment, the keys were left on the hall console, and the door closed behind her, shutting out an era. Preparations for the personal studio were in full swing. Suhi leveraged all her connections in the media circle, discreetly but effectively spreading the word. The chosen location was a quiet old Western-style house in the city center, retaining its original brick walls and arched windows. Even before the studio officially opened for business, the phone calls and emails were already pouring in. Mr. Chin from Xinjiang was the first to call, arranging to meet at a more private tea house next door to Chenwai. Director Gu. Congratulations on the new studio. Mr. Chen, beaming, poured me tea himself. Regarding the new art museum's design, our board of directors has held several meetings, and we've all agreed that we'll only feel at ease if you personally take the lead. As for the execution, he drew out his words, shrewdly observing my expression. At Xinjiang, we value proposals and people. The contract can be signed with your new studio at any time. I picked up my teacup, the liquid clear. Thank you for your trust, Mr. Chen. My assistant will liaise with your company's legal department regarding the details as soon as possible. Mr. Chen clapped his hands. Splendid. By the way, that industry charity gala next week, would Engineer Gu grace us with his presence? I have a few old friends who are eager to meet you. The old friends he mentioned were, naturally, those who held the city's core development resources. I definitely will, I replied with a smile. This was a signal. I needed to stand under that spotlight, for everyone to see that Gu Wan was independent. On the night of the reception, I chose a simple black slip dress, devoid of any extra embellishments, wearing only a pair of small pearl stud earrings. Suhi stood by my side and whispered, "Look over there." I could feel that scorching gaze without even looking. Qin Yubai had arrived, and as expected, Lin Wei was with him. Lin Wei wore a shimmering, form-fitting dress, her makeup impeccable. She tried to stand tall, attempting to blend into this glittering world of power and influence, but her eyes darted around, betraying an insecurity masked by a forced confidence. Qin Yubai held his wine glass, conversing with a senior figure in the industry, his expression not looking good. That senior was notoriously stubborn, only valuing true skill. I caught snippets of their conversation drifting over. Yubai, the concepts your firm has submitted recently lack inspiration. Too much craftsmanship. They're a far cry from the library project Guwan led back in the day. Qin Yubai's jawline tightened again. I withdrew my gaze, holding my champagne, and walked towards the circle surrounded by several real estate magnates. Manager Chen saw me and immediately waved with a smile. Engineer Gu is here. Come, come. We were just talking about the urban living room of your new museum. Mr. Wang and the others are very interested. Instantly, the focus shifted, and those gazes fell upon me. I stepped forward, calmly picking up the conversation, talking about how the glass curtain wall would bring the outdoor light and shadows of the Four Seasons indoors, blurring boundaries and creating a space for dialogue between people and the city. No flowery language, only an understanding of the essence of space and clear logic. I saw genuine interest and recognition flicker in the eyes of several influential figures. Qin Yubai was left standing there. He tried to push his way in with Lin Wei, and while some politely nodded at him, their attention remained fixed on me. Lin Wei stood beside him, like a vase that didn't quite fit. She probably wanted to show off and interjected. Our CEO Shin also made many optimizations to the curtain wall's load-bearing structure. The air fell silent for a moment, and the important figures exchanged a glance, not taking the bait. The load-bearing structure was an engineering issue, and bringing it up in a setting discussing design concepts and spatial aesthetics seemed abrupt and amateurish. Manager Chin chuckled. Technical issues. We can discuss those later. Later. Lin Wei's face instantly flushed red, and she looked helplessly at Shin Yubai. Shin Yubai's gaze was dark. He tugged at Lin Wei's arm with considerable force. Lin Wei stumbled from the pole, and a bit of champagne spilled from her glass, splashing onto her silver skirt and leaving a small stain. As several pairs of eyes swept over her, Lin Wei's eyes immediately welled up. She bit her lower lip, holding back tears with all her might. The image she had meticulously crafted to replace me began to crack with that tug and spill. Shin Yubai also realized his lapse in composure and reprimanded in a low voice. Clumsy. He irritably released his hand, his gaze sweeping over the crowd to land on me. I met his eyes calmly, taking a sip of the cold sparkling wine in my glass. The liquid slid down his throat, leaving a faint sting. See, Shin Yubai, without me standing by your side, shielding you from the storms beyond your expertise, guiding your every word with precision, you and your grand new blueprint would struggle to navigate even this most basic arena of fame and fortune. This is just the beginning. As the reception drew to a close, Jiang Lin finally appeared. He was still wearing a textured cotton and linen shirt, which stood out with exceptional elegance amidst the opulent attire of the crowd. He walked directly towards me, ignoring the gazes, both overt and subtle, that followed him. His eyes settled on my face, filled with gentle concern. I'm sorry. Something came up at the gallery at the last minute, and I'm late. Are you all right? You look a little tired. I told him the truth. I'm fine. It's just social obligations, and they are indeed draining. He took the almost empty wine glass from my hand with utmost naturalness and placed it on a passing waiter's tray. Let's go. They'll take you home. Staying in a place like this for too long can make you feel suffocated. His voice was neither loud nor soft, just enough for the few people around who had perked up their ears to hear clearly. This was a silent gesture, a declaration. I didn't refuse, nodded to Su He, and then left with Jiang Lin under the gaze of many eyes. As we reached the doorway, a cool night breeze swept over us. Jiang Lin opened the car door for me, his palm protectively hovering above the door frame in a gentlemanly gesture. Thank you, Director Jiang, I said softly as I settled into the passenger seat. Just call me Jiang Lin. He started the car, his profile sharply defined in the dim glow of the dashboard. What's there to thank? It's on my way. He paused, his voice remarkably clear in the quiet carriage. Anne, Gu Wan, your city living room. It deserves a purer beginning. The carriage was silent. He didn't deliberately try to make conversation. This silence wasn't awkward. Instead, it felt like a soft buffer, separating the earlier clamor of the cocktail party from the chill in my heart. Just stop at the next intersection, I said, pointing to the old Western-style house not far away. The lights in the studio were still on. We're still tidying up inside, so I won't invite you up. Jiang Lin pulled over as instructed. He turned his body, his gaze falling on my face. Get some good rest. The detailed design proposal for the new museum wing isn't urgent. We can discuss it after your foundation here is stable. I unbuckled my seatbelt and smiled. Right now, this place is just an empty shell. He chuckled softly. An empty shell is even better. You can rebuild it according to your own heart's desire. That would be the true Gu Wan architecture. He paused, then added, if you need recommendations for a construction team or material suppliers, just say the word. I pushed open the car door. Thank you. You're welcome. He watched me get out of the car and drive away only after I had entered the building. The studio still smelled of fresh paint and wood, with a few workers putting the finishing touches on. Sue, He was curled up on a sofa in the corner, typing away at his laptop. Seeing me enter, he immediately jumped up. How is it? Those two scoundrels didn't die of anger, did they? Her eyes sparkled with the satisfaction of revenge. You should have seen Shinyubai's face after you left. TSK TSK. It was as black as soot from a burnt pot. Lin Wei was crying so hard her makeup ran. Serves them right. I took off my coat and hung it up. I saw. Here. Look at this. Suhi turned the computer screen towards me. It was the back end of a public account she managed, focusing on the local design scene, and the comments under the latest post had exploded. The title was blunt. Above the feast. Yuan's new star dims. Seoul designer Gu Wan sets sail independently. The accompanying images were chosen shrewdly. One showed me speaking calmly in a crowd. The other depicted Shinyubai grabbing Lin Wei's arm, with a noticeable wine stain on Lin Wei's skirt. The comments were even more spectacular. I've felt for a while that Yuan's recent work has been lacking inspiration. And it turns out the soul is gone. Is that Lin Wei a designer? She feels like a pretty face. Her words at the reception were completely off the mark. Has Shinyubai gotten too big for his britches? Gu Wan has won international awards. Who does he think he is? Support Gu Gong going independent. Looking forward to new work. The wind had completely shifted. Well done, I said, patting Suhi on the shoulder. The blade of public opinion, wielded skillfully, could save a great deal of effort. In the days that followed, I was busier than a bee. Signing the independent design contract for the new Xinjiang Art Museum was just the beginning. Hiring assistants, liaising with suppliers, negotiating new partnerships. Every task required my personal attention. The faint ache deep within my body had long since disappeared. News from Shinyubai's end also came in fits and starts. I heard he tried to bid for a cultural center project in a new district under Yuan's name, but didn't even pass the initial screening. I heard that a small commercial space renovation project Lin Wei was in charge of had to be redone due to serious errors in the construction drawings, and the client directly filed a complaint with the industry association. I heard that the firm's core designer, Engineer Lee, who used to pull all-nighters drawing with me back in the day, has resigned. On a gloomy afternoon, I was reviewing a structural drawing when there was a knock on the door. Assistant Xiao Tang poked his head in. Engineer Gu, there's a visitor. He says he's Mr. Shinyubai. He doesn't have an appointment. Should we see him? The tip of the pen paused on the blueprint, leaving a tiny ink dot. I looked up. Let him in. Shinyubai walked in, bringing the chill of the outdoors with him. He had lost some weight, with dark circles under his eyes, and a patch of his suit jacket was damp with rain. Sit. I gestured to the chair opposite me, my tone as flat as if I were receiving an ordinary client. He didn't sit. Instead, he walked directly to my desk and placed his hands on the edge. Gu Wan, what exactly do you want? HM. I put down my pen, leaning back in my chair. Mr. Shen, I don't understand what you mean. Don't understand. He seemed provoked by my calmness. You poached the Xinjiang project, and Li Gong's resignation. Was that your doing? And the cultural center bid failure. Were you the one tripping us up behind the scenes? Gu Wan, don't push things too far. Yuan is also your brainchild. My brainchild. I repeated it softly, my eyes full of sarcasm as I looked up. Shinyubai, do you still remember how the name Yuan came about? It's the you from your name and the Wan from mine. From the very beginning, it was our child together. It was you who personally dug out this child's heart. Now you come to accuse me, saying I ruined it. I only took back what belonged to me, my designs, my name, and those clients who recognized me. The empty shell that remained. You and Lin Wei have been running it. It collapsed. Wasn't that only natural? Shinyubai seemed to have his tail stepped on. You hate me, so you want to destroy it. Destroy me. I suddenly found it rather amusing. Shinyubai, You think too highly of yourself. Hate requires energy. 2. I'm very busy right now. Busy building the blueprint that truly belongs to me. Gu Wan. I don't have time to waste energy on insignificant things like hating you. His face instantly turned ashen. The words insignificant things were more devastating than any accusation, completely negating our past 10 years and every place he held in my life. Insignificant. He murmured, repeating the word. Fine. Insignificant. Then tell me, what was going on between you and that Mr. Jiang at the Chinwai tea house that day? How long has it been since our divorce? Were you already? Qin Yubai. I cut him off coldly. Watch your words and your position. It's not your place to question who I meet or what I do. When you paraded around with Lin Wei, did you ever consider my feelings? And now you're playing the victim. He was choked by my words, momentarily speechless. I stood up, leaning my hands on the table to look him directly in the eye. Also, don't blame me for your and Lin Weiss screw-ups. Lin Weiss' commercial space project had errors in the construction drawings, causing rework in millions and losses. The client is demanding compensation. And you're blaming me for that. Engineer Li resigned because he couldn't see a future for Yuan's designs. Wasn't it because you let a half-baked amateur like Lin Wei interfere with core design? Qin Yubai. Admit it. Without my designs, Yuan is nothing. Without me out front maintaining relationships for you and shielding you from those non-professional troubles, you and your so-called designer Lin wouldn't even know which way is up in this industry. Qin Yubai's face showed unwillingness and anger. After a long while, he seemed to have drained all his strength, his voice dropping very low. Wan. I know I was wrong. Lin Wei can't compare to you at all. I raised my hand to signal him to be quiet. Qin Yubai. From the moment you chose her, from the moment I signed my name on the surgical consent form, we were completely finished. I walked behind the desk, pulled open the bottom drawer, and took out a folder, pushing it in front of him. This is what you've always wanted. The original inspiration manuscripts and early structural deductions for the City Library expansion project. That was one of the key projects that established Yuan's reputation in its early days. And the core concept was entirely mine. Qin Yubai had hinted countless times, trying to get his hands on the archives. Now, it's yours. Take it. And with your designer, Lin, go and mend your Yuan. I wish you success. I picked up the intercom on the desk. Xiao Tang. Please see our guest out. The office door was gently knocked, and Xiao Tang poked her head in, politely addressing the frozen Qin Yubai. Mr. Chen, this way, please. Qin Yubai's gaze shifted from the folder on the desk to my face, his eyes complex, filled with regret and unwillingness. He didn't speak again, nor did he touch the document, and followed Xiao Tang out. Silence returned to the office. I picked up the folder and walked over to the shredder. Everything in the past was like these shredded pieces of paper. Impossible to mend. Xiao Tang knocked and entered again, holding a simple paper box in his hands. It had no markings, only a plain gray ribbon tied around it. Engineer Gu, this just arrived. It's specifically for you. I took the box and opened it. Inside, there were no cards. Only a large bouquet of white eustomas, still glistening with dew. Clutching the bouquet, I walked to the window. The city's silhouette was blurred in the curtain of rain, and a new blueprint would surely be clearly sketched out under my hands. White eustomas in a glass bottle by the window brought a touch of life to the rainy office. I didn't ask who sent them. After Qin Yubai barged in that time, there was no further news from him, though news about Yuan continued to trickle in. The commercial space project Lin Wei was in charge of had completely failed. The construction drawings had too many errors. The cost of rework was high, and the schedule was severely delayed. The client directly complained to the industry association, demanding huge compensation, and even threatened to sue them. It was heard that Qin Yubai was in a terrible state, begging people everywhere, trying to reduce the compensation. A few days later, More news came. The core designers of Yuan, including engineer Li, who was the last to stay, collectively submitted their resignations. Yuan was empty. Only Xin Yubai remained, along with a few inexperienced newcomers recently hired. Lin Weiss' name was still listed on the firm's official website. Design director. Like a joke. Suhi turned the computer screen to show me. On the announcement board of the local Design Industry Association's official website, a notice was posted. Announcement regarding the hearing on issues related to projects of Yuan design firm. The time, the place, all clearly written. Below it was an abstract of the preliminary investigation, explicitly pointing out Lin Weiss' major technical errors in the project she was responsible for. Are you going to the hearing? Suhi asked. I closed the page. No. It's a waste of time. What a shame. To see them embarrassed in public. Will watching them lose face speed up the progress of my studio's new project? I picked up the blueprints on the table. Qingjing is pushing for the final structural plan for the urban living room. And I need to go over parameters with the structural engineer this afternoon. Suhi pouted. Fine. Workaholic. On the day of the hearing, the rain had intensified. The sky outside had already darkened by the time I finished discussing the last few details with the structural engineer in the studio. Suhi burst through the door, a few strands of her hair damp from the rain. My God. You should have seen it, she said, taking a large gulp of water. Xin Yubai's face was black as a pot bottom. Those old guys from the association showed no mercy, asking the most questions. They asked Lin Wei to describe the project process, and she stammered, unable to even explain the basic stress analysis. She burst into tears on the spot. Suhi described it vividly. Old Mr. Zhang from the association, you know, the most meticulous one, slammed the table. He said that a designer of this caliber being a director is a disgrace to the industry, and that the management of Yuan has an undeniable responsibility. Xin Yubai tried to argue, but as soon as he opened his mouth, he was shut down. And the end result? I asked, still flipping through the newly printed structural diagrams. The end result. The association immediately announced that Yuan design firm's industry qualification would be suspended for 6 months. With an order for immediate rectification, Yuan would be fully responsible for compensating for the project that had the accident. Lin Weiss' designer qualification was suspended pending review, meaning it could be revoked. Suhi let out a breath. Satisfying. Damn satisfying. I closed the blueprints. Understood. Tomorrow morning at 9. I've scheduled a meeting with Mr. Chin to view the new venue. Have the materials ready. Suhi paused for a moment, then smiled. All right, Boss Gu. Yuan's collapse was as swift as toppling blocks. The suspension of their qualifications meant they were no longer even eligible to participate in bids. Word is that Xin Yubai is selling off his properties and collections at low prices to cover the shortfall, but no one is taking them. Where the prices are being driven down extremely low, Lin Wei had disappeared. Some said she had returned to her hometown, others that she had gone to a small city in the south, leaving the industry entirely. A month later, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, it was Xin Yubai. Gu Wan. Let's meet. I wasn't interested in talking to him. If you have something to say it on the phone. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I can't hold on any longer. The firm has filed for bankruptcy. I replied, unsurprised. Another silence. When do you want to come get your things from the apartment? Or should I bring them to you? The apartment he was referring to was the penthouse. When I moved out, I only took the essentials. No need, I said, looking out the window. You can get rid of them, sell them or throw them away. Whatever you want. Silence on the other end of the line. After a long pause, he spoke again. What were you doing at the hospital that day? The fingers holding my phone tightened slightly. Did he know? Or had he guessed? Seeing a doctor, I replied. What illness? He pressed. Chin you by. My voice was calm. My affairs are no longer your concern. Deal with the house as soon as possible. Goodbye. Without waiting for him to speak again, I ended the call, putting down my phone. I looked at the model of the new building on the table. This was my present, my future. A few days later, Jianglin asked me to see the progress of the new museum construction site. The huge foundation pit had already been dug. Wearing hard hats, we walked on the temporary walkway. The construction site was very noisy and dusty. Jianglin looked at the construction site and said loudly, "The foundation is laid well, ahead of schedule." I pointed to the engineer directing operations in the distance and said, "They're keeping a close eye on the structure." We walked to the edge of the excavation pit. Jianglin handed me a bottle of water and then unscrewed one for himself. Taking a few sips, "Did he look for you?" Jianglin suddenly asked, his gaze fixed on the machinery in the distance. "Not on me." "Yes. His firm went bankrupt." Jianlin's tone was flat. "As expected." "Did he ask about the hospital?" My hand paused on the bottle cap. I asked, "What did you say?" "That I was going to see a doctor." Jianglin nodded and didn't press further. The wind swept across the construction site, kicking up a cloud of dust. He pulled his hard hat down a little further and, without any obvious gesture, turned his body to shield me from the wind and sand. "Look ahead, Gu Wan. This building will be a new beginning. Your own beginning." I nodded. "I know." Some more days passed. On the weekend, I went back to my parents' house for dinner. At the dinner table, my mom cautiously asked about Xinyubai. "I heard his company is in trouble. Is he all right?" "He went bankrupt," I said, picking up a piece of food with my chopsticks. "He should still be in the city." My dad sighed. Such a good kid back then. How could it have turned out this way? He didn't finish his sentence. After dinner, I drove back to my studio. While waiting for the red light, I casually glanced at the side of the road. On the sidewalk, a man in a rumpled old suit was walking slowly. The light turned green. The car behind me honked, and I pressed the accelerator. Does it matter if he doesn't? Like I told Jianglin, I know where my path lies. Epilogue. The eve of the new museum's inauguration, the vast urban living room was deserted, with only a few temporary lights illuminating the space. I stood alone before the immense glass curtain wall, the scattered city lights twinkling beyond. Footsteps echoed in the vast space as Jianglin walked over and stopped beside me. He didn't speak. Also looking outside. "All checked?" I asked. He handed me a document. "Yes. The lighting system just needs one final adjustment. You take another look at the opening ceremony procedures." I took it, without opening it. "No need to look. Whatever you ordered is fine." After a moment of silence, he asked, "Are you nervous?" "A little. I'll be honest. It feels a bit strange, like the first time I submitted a design draft a long time ago. It will become a landmark." "Your landmark." Jianglin's tone was certain, as if stating a fact. "It's ours." I correct. Qingjing pays. His team coordinates. And countless workers build. He turned his head to look at me. "The core is you." I didn't reply. The night wind blew, carrying a chill. Jianglin said, "Tomorrow will be very busy. After it's over, let's have dinner together. Just the two of us." His gaze was calm, tinged with inquiry. This meaning had always been obscured by work, as if veiled. Now the veil had been lifted. I looked at our reflections in the glass. So close. I turned my head and smiled at him. Okay. The opening ceremony was lively, with flashing lights, microphones, and crowds. I stood on the stage, dressed in a simple black suit. Mr. Chen of Xinjiang was speaking, his voice loud, and Jianglin stood a step away from me. It was my turn. I walked up to the microphone. The room quieted. A sea of faces. It's called dialogue. I began. My voice amplified. Not my dialogue, but the dialogue of the city and its people, of light and shadow, of past and future. You walk in. You stand here. And that is the beginning of the dialogue. Applause erupted. I took half a step back, yielding my spot to Jianglin, who stepped forward to elaborate on the spatial details. The ribbon cutting, the unveiling, the enormous red silk fell away, revealing the glass curtain wall in its entirety, framing the sunlight and distant buildings like a flowing painting. The crowd surged inside, gasping in admiration. I stood at the entrance, watching as people came over to shake my hand and offer congratulations. I nodded and smiled. Gu Wan. A voice cut through the din. I turned my head. It was Xin Yubai. He stood at the edge of the crowd, several meters away. He wore an ill-fitting old suit, his hair grown long, obscuring part of his forehead. His face was gaunt, cheekbones prominent, eye sockets deep. He didn't push forward, just watched me. His gaze empty yet seeming to hold a great weight. We met each other's eyes across the throng for a few seconds. He moved his lips, but no sound came out. Then he turned and quickly disappeared into the flow of people at the entrance. Who? Jianglin appeared beside me at some point, following my gaze, only to see the surging crowd. I withdrew my eyes. No one. I mistook someone. The ceremony concluded, followed by a reception and media interviews. Jianglin shielded me from most of them. Evening. As the sky began to darken and the city lights flickered on, Jianglin and I sat in a quiet corner of the terrace on the top floor of the new building. It wasn't open yet, so it was just us. A simple meal was laid out on the table, along with 2 glasses of red wine. Are you tired? Jianglin asked. It's all right. I picked up my wine glass, not drinking, and looked at the dark red liquid within. He said, today was a success. I gazed at the neon lights flickering on in the distance. It's only the first step. There are others to come. Jianglin nodded. I know. He picked up his wine glass and gently clinked it against mine. To dialogue. And to a new beginning. The glasses met with a crisp sound. Gu Wan. He set down his glass, his gaze falling on my face. Serious. Beyond dialogue. Can we also start anew between us? The night wind stirred the hair on his forehead. The light on the terrace wasn't bright, but his eyes were clear. I remembered the tea house beyond the dust, him shielding me from Xin Yubai's questioning, the white lisianthus he gave me, and the gust of wind and sand he blocked for me at the construction site. Haven't we? I paused, looking at him. Been starting all along. He froze for a moment. Then the corners of his mouth slowly curved upwards, and the light in his eyes began to overflow. Yes. His voice was soft. With certainty. It has always been beginning. I raised my glass and took a sip. The liquid slid down my throat, slightly bitter, with a sweet aftertaste. A new blueprint, laid out at my feet. Stroke by stroke. I will draw it myself.